Yeah.
Hey, perfect. And you can see me as well, and you can hear me well. Yay, that's kind of the most important thing nowadays, probably the most used sentence. Do you hear me? Do you see me well? Because everyone is on Skype or Zoom. Okay, well, thank you, ladies, first and foremost, for inviting me to be part of your mega hackathon. I always wanted to get a bit more engaged, particularly when it comes to social focus. So I am super delighted to share a bit of my experience and my impressions when it comes to the remote setup. So my focus will be on business challenges in the remote reality. So right now, a lot of us are in kind of emergency remote, but I have been working remotely already for 15 months. So it was my choice. So I was one of the lucky ones who had a bit of time to, set up properly and use their time to adjust. So I would love if you have any questions for me. Obviously, some of you have never seen my face, so I'll use literally a minute to present who I am. Because probably that's important piece. So I'm Bulgarian, hence why no one can tell where my accent is coming from. It's not really typical one. We're a small country, just 7 million people in Eastern Europe, but I've been living in Ireland for the past 7 years. My background is HR, recruitment, so I've been quite privileged to be in large companies like LinkedIn and Airbnb, learn from the best, and obviously now I'm doing completely different stuff. So on top of being in HR and recruitment, I'm a psychologist as well. So I guess that's always helpful when you have to work with people and learn how to read people. I wouldn't use the word manipulate because that's a bad word, but more or less that as well. And last year I set up my own company that is called Vox Advisory. And I actually work a lot with startups when it comes to their talent strategy, because usually people prioritize in a startup the product, the finances, getting investments, and then last but not least, they have the people. So I want to make sure that all startups are fully equipped with the right technology, with the right practices, the right policies, so they feel happy and confident. That's my mission, being happy and confident. So enough about me. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me later. And that's a question to you all. There are several things that exert influence on our reality in the past more or less 10 years. Does anyone want to guess what that is or what these are? Someone is not on mute, okay. Love that, love that. Okay, I'll tell you, don't worry. Even if you don't care, I'll just tell you. The fourth industrial revolution, Internet of Things, okay? So we are all impacted by that in a way. I'm sure that you have seen, or you're using a lot of organizations that are within this spectrum. So I'm not going to talk about the first three because they're focused on electricity, transportation, and stuff that we take for granted, usually. So the fourth industrial revolution is the first piece. The second one is the fact that for first time, we have 5 generations working together. Okay, so what does that mean for our environment? What does that mean for you as employers or for you as employees? How you can make sure that you work successfully all together. Digital nomads. Yes, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, when people started working remotely, everyone was thinking, oh yeah, they just want to go on a beach and, pretend they're working on some marketing stuff. That's our reality right now. The next thing is focused on the gig economy. So we can thank companies like Airbnb, Uber, that are creating opportunities for us as individuals to earn more. So it's pretty normal that a lot of the people that we work with actually have multiple gigs. So when it comes to the remote setup, you need to think, is that okay for me? Is it possible for me that I have part-time employees? Or is it okay that my team works during the week as A, and then during the weekends they are piano teachers, or they're drivers, or they're delivery guys? So this is severely impacting how we work and how we perceive work. So the concept of job hoppers nowadays doesn't exist in the same way, okay? And then, of course, I was hoping that no one mentions that thing, but it's inevitable, okay? It's inevitable because it pushes us to think about innovation, about creativity. I was reminded last night that the Black Death, so the plague, when it came, it actually created an opportunity for the Renaissance. Okay, so after that, the countries in Western Europe, they experienced such a renovation when it comes to arts, craft, and you know, creating this mid-class of people. So after a lot of pile of crap, basically good stuff happened. So I hope that this is a message for a bit of positivity. Okay, so I really like this mirror image, and I think it represents a big challenge that we all experience. It's what I want on a personal level and what the company wants. So the challenges in a remote setup are basically exactly that. So what your organization wants and what they have to prioritize versus what you prioritize. So I strongly encourage all of you who are taking part today and tomorrow in the hackathon to really think on both levels, on the we and on a me level, okay? Tax and legal, yay, we have to be practical. Unfortunately, every single country in the, even if you take the European Union, they have completely different legal system, completely different laws and regulations. Some of them are very heavily regulated by the likes of SIP2 in Ireland. It's obviously organizations that preserve the interest of the employees. France, Germany are great examples for that. The Netherlands have usually had a one-year contract, so how can you embed that in your strategy when it comes to expanding your business internationally? Tax and legal are the two most critical things that a lot of companies say, I don't want remote because of these two pieces, okay? Compliance, GDPR. I faced this particular challenge because a lot of organizations don't want to hire, let's say, talent in Africa or in Asia or in the Middle East because they're concerned about GDPR, since they have to pass data outside of the European Union. So again, this is quite a complex issue that you need to, take into consideration. Processes, how we can create the right logistical structure, how we can ensure that every single person has ergonomic chair so that they are safe and they're healthy, they have 2 screens and they can operate adequately. How can we do that? Okay, it's not only money, it's about processes as well. But ultimately, the biggest fear of companies is the lack of control. The lack of control of what their employees are doing. I faced that in probably most of my companies that I worked in. The problem with them allowing working from home policy was exactly that. How am I supposed to know that my employees are working and they're not on Facebook? And then I have a counter argument for that. Well, how do you know if they're present physically in the office that they're mentally present as well? You have no idea. They might be on their WhatsApp. They might be, buying their stuff on Amazon. No way to check that unless you're in a specific country where everything is checked. So if we talk about on individual level, what are the challenges in terms of remote working? Social engagement. And I actually feel I'm socializing much more now that I'm on lockdown because I constantly see faces, constantly every single day. But when it comes to the engagement, do I feel that we're doing stuff together? Do I feel that I am bought in my company when I'm working remotely, when I don't shake hands, when I don't hug people, when I don't have the physical interaction? Do I feel included? We're all here from different countries, different religions, different ethnical backgrounds, different age bracket as well. Do I feel that my company is only for the cool kids, the extroverts, or me as an introvert, do I feel included in that whole space? When it comes to collaboration, that's a difficult challenge. And if you ask a lot of the leaders in remote companies, that's probably one thing that they try to encourage as much as possible: communication and collaboration. Because you can split us now in breakout rooms in Zoom. Does that mean that we're effective collaborators? Not really. So there are a lot of processes in the back burner. Connection. Ultimately, again, that's the psychologist in me. But one of the key parts of the Maslow pyramid of hierarchy is focused on being part of a community, having this human connection. Even in the animal kingdom, that exists. So you have pack of animals that go together because you want to feel the connection. Probably the only kind of animals that don't like the connection are wolves, but we're not going to make comparisons to wolves. And ultimately, one thing I've learned in my time in Airbnb, it's all about belonging. Do I feel like I belong to this space? Because COVID-19 is going to pass, okay? That's temporary pause for a lot of us. What will happen afterwards? Will we still continue to work remotely? How can we make sure that each one of us feels that they belong in this environment? How? So all of this scheme here is about the what, the how, and ultimately the why. Quoting Simon Sinek, but that's important. What's your why when you're building a remote organization? Well, that's basically me. I think it was a lot less than 15 minutes, but I'm straight to the point. So if you have any questions, or the person who really doesn't give a shit much today wants to share something from their experience earlier, I'm going to be open to hear.